Dark chosen ones, you have this rare ability, but you don't know it yet. There's something inside you that the world was never meant to understand. And yet, no matter how hard you've tried to fit in, to hide it, to ignore the pull that rare ability keeps calling to you in silence, you've always sensed it. In the stillness of the night, when the noise of the world fades, there's a quiet hum beneath your thoughts, whispering truths you were never taught, showing you visions of possibilities that others deny, pushing you to awaken to something that most will never experience. This is not imagination. It is not delusion. It's what I call the dark echo of the chosen. And if you're still watching, it means you're one of us. You're not here by accident. You're here because the universe has sent a signal to you, and you answered it. You're not broken, strange, or cursed. You're encoded with a forgotten power that reveals itself only in silence, only in shadow, and only in struggle. But here's the twist: most dark chosen ones never realize what they are, because this power doesn't scream, it waits. It hides beneath trauma. It matures in rejection. It is only born when everything else in you dies. So what is it that you're really carrying? And why don't you know it yet? Let me tell you something radical. This rare ability is not taught, not inherited in bloodlines, not passed on through books. It is awakened. And the key is suffering. You think your pain was punishment. It wasn't. It was initiation. When you were pushed away by people who couldn't understand you, when your family tried to mold you into something smaller, when friends quietly abandoned you, these weren't betrayals. They were the opening rituals of your birthright. Real chosen ones don't receive blessings, they survive breakdowns. They don't follow prophets, they walk through storms. And you, unknowingly, have been going through the earliest phases of this ancient rite. You feel like you've been wandering, but your life has been designing a labyrinth meant to reveal who you are through every dead end, every detour, and every confrontation with your shadow. Do you realize how few even make it this far?
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
The reason most people will never understand the dark chosen ones is because they're too afraid to face what we're made to confront. You've been through nights where you questioned your own worth, not knowing that those nights were tempering you like steel in flame. You've sat in silence for hours, aching from wounds no one could see, wondering if you were simply sensitive when in truth, you were becoming receptive to hidden dimensions. Your nervous breakdowns weren't collapses. They were transformations. They were the unmaking of your false self. The real you is forged in confusion, in isolation, in death and rebirth. But here's what's even more shocking: your rare ability. It's the capacity to see truth in everything, even darkness. And that makes you dangerous in a world addicted to illusion. Most people fear darkness, but you've learned to breathe in it. That's the beginning of your real power. While others are blinded by light, chasing success, praise, identity, you've been trained by your silence to feel what others ignore. You sense intentions behind smiles. You notice what's left unsaid in a conversation. You know when someone's energy is twisted, even when their words are kind. You can't prove it, but you feel it. That's because this ability has always been there, dormant, growing. This is the intuitive signature of a dark chosen one. We're not here to fit in. We're here to see what others refuse to see. And once you awaken to that inner compass, you'll never be lost again, because even when your life falls apart, you'll feel something invisible holding it all together. Let me ask you this: have you ever walked into a room and suddenly felt drained or overwhelmed without knowing why? That's not anxiety. That's not oversensitivity. That's your rare ability alerting you to energetic dissonance. Have you noticed that some people become irritated just by your presence, even if you say nothing at all? That's not rudeness. That's energetic discomfort. You're carrying a vibration that unsettles illusions, and those who live in fake light can't stand your shadow frequency. You've been thinking it's a flaw. It's not. It's your gift. You were born to see through masks, and that makes you immune to manipulation. You don't react the same way to pressure. You don't panic when the system shakes. You've already been broken so many times you've become unbreakable. That is the mark of a dark chosen one. But here's the haunting truth. Most never activate this gift because they stay stuck in their pain. They internalize it. They think being different means being defective. They get tired. They conform. And the moment they conform, they lose the signal that leads them to themselves. You must not let that happen to you. You're here because your soul is screaming to be remembered. You don't need permission to become who you already are. You just need clarity. You need to remember that every time you felt like giving up, there was a deeper part of you that refused. That voice that said, "Keep going," even when you had no reason to believe anything would change. That was your higher self trying to guide you toward this moment. And now, the question is, are you ready to listen? Because what comes next will unlock a layer of your potential that has been asleep since you were a child. Your sensitivity isn't a curse, it's a map to hidden dimensions. Let's talk about your sensitivity, not the watered-down version that pop psychology tries to comfort you with, but the real kind. The raw, overwhelming, soul-shaking sensitivity that makes it hard for you to be in crowded rooms, that makes you feel like you're absorbing people's unspoken emotions like a sponge. The kind that makes others say you're too much or too deep or too intense, even when you're barely speaking. You've been made to believe that this trait is a burden, that it makes you fragile. But the truth is, this is one of the most rare and powerful traits the dark chosen carry, and it's not there by mistake. It's there because you are meant to sense what the world tries to hide. You are meant to detect the frequency of truth beneath the layers of lies. You were never designed to thrive in superficial environments. Your being rejects it, resists it, collapses under it because you were wired to go deeper. You notice things other people don't, because your nervous system is attuned not just to the visible world, but to what exists between the moments, in the pauses, in the looks, in the vibrations no one else dares to pay attention to. This isn't weakness. This is multidimensional intelligence. You're not just hearing words, you're interpreting energies. You're not just reading expressions, you're decoding patterns. You're not just feeling emotion, you're tracking origin. That sensitivity is not there to break you. It's there to prepare you. Why do you think the world tries so hard to numb us out? Loud music, constant screams, shallow interactions, endless consumption, because if you ever got quiet enough to listen to what you truly feel, you'd wake up. You'd see what they don't want you to see. You'd recognize that half the things people chase, status, attention, approval, are illusions designed to keep them distracted from who they really are. But you've always known this deep down, haven't you? Even as a child, something felt off. You couldn't explain it, but your body reacted to fake smiles, empty conversations, forced joy. You didn't want to play the games. Not because you didn't know how, but because your soul knew the cost. This sensitivity is a map, and if you stop resisting it, it will guide you to places others can't even imagine. Every time you felt emotional for no reason, there was a reason. Every time you couldn't sleep because your thoughts spiraled, that was not overthinking, that was downloads. Every time you suddenly got sick around certain people, that was your system rejecting distorted fields. The dark chosen are not wired like the rest. We come with an open antenna, tuned to transmissions from the unseen. But to make use of that signal, we must stop trying to live like the disconnected. Let me ask you something. What if your tears were a form of cleansing, not weakness? What if your anxiety was an alarm system for misaligned environments? What if your solitude wasn't loneliness, but a cocoon for an unhatched gift? Most people numb their signals. You're one of the few who feel it all. That's not a curse. That's a responsibility. When we feel everything, we must learn to discern what is ours and what is not. Because if you don't, you'll drown in emotions that were never yours to begin with. That's why shadow work is not optional for the dark chosen, it's survival. You have to learn what your energy feels like in its pure state. You have to learn how to cleanse, to reset, to recharge, not just physically but spiritually. Because the more your ability awakens, the more invisible energies will seek to use you as a conduit. And if you don't know how to set boundaries on a soul level, you'll mistake their chaos for your truth. You'll absorb their pain and carry it as your identity. That's how so many gifted souls get lost. That's how they get sick. That's how they forget themselves, but not you, not anymore. We have to begin asking harder questions. When you walk into a space, do you collapse your energy to make others comfortable? When you sense something's wrong, do you silence that intuition just to keep the peace? When your body says no, but your mind says don't overreact, whose voice are you really listening to? You're not overreacting, you're receiving. And the more you trust that, the more your rare ability will sharpen. You'll move from emotional chaos to psychic clarity. You'll stop being a victim of your gift and start becoming its master. Here's the truth: every spiritual gift, if not understood, feels like suffering. The psychic becomes anxious. The empath becomes depressed. The seer feels insane. But that's only because we haven't been taught what we are. You were sent here not to copy this world, but to crack it open, to be a mirror that reveals truth. That's why people either deeply admire you or are irrationally threatened by you. You reflect back what they're trying to hide. You wake them up without even trying. And that power, that's not something you gain. That's something you remember. So I'll ask you one last question before we move to the next part. What if your greatest power isn't something you develop, but something you finally stop denying? The hidden power of emotional alchemy, how your pain becomes your weapon. Pain has always followed you, hasn't it? Not the kind you can explain easily. Not just breakups, betrayal, or bad luck, but a deeper ache, a soluble bruising that seems to resurface every time you're about to rise. It's almost as if the moment you begin to believe in yourself, the universe throws you back into the shadows. But what if I told you that was never punishment? What if your pain was the fire designed to burn away your false self so the real you could finally emerge? Dark chosen ones are not born with polished powers. We are forged, and the forge is pain. The heartbreaks that shattered you. They broke open the walls that kept your truth buried. The loneliness that almost killed you. It was space being cleared so your higher guidance could finally be heard. The betrayals that cut deep. They were the universe's way of detaching you from the wrong frequencies, so you would stop lowering yourself just to be accepted by the blind. Your pain wasn't chaos, it was alchemy in disguise. But here's the catch: alchemy only works if we stay present in the fire. Most people run from it. They numb it, distract it, deny it. But not us. We are here to transmute. And the secret to transmutation isn't force, it's presence. You can't outrun the dark to reach the light. You have to go through the dark, sit with it, stare into it, listen to what it's trying to tell you. Because hidden in every wound is a truth so powerful, it could shatter the illusions you were raised in. That's why the system wants to keep you distracted. Because if you ever truly looked into your pain, you'd wake up. Now let me show you how this works. Think about a time when you felt rejected not just by a person but by life itself. You felt unseen, unloved, unchosen. Now go deeper. Beneath that pain, what did it reveal? Maybe it forced you to finally see your own worth, because no one else could. Maybe it triggered a rage so pure that you finally set boundaries you'd never dared to set before. Maybe it broke your heart in such a specific way that you opened your first spiritual channel. because suffering is the key to clarity. You weren't being broken, you were being redesigned. Emotional alchemy means using what was meant to destroy you to awaken you. It means realizing that your depression wasn't just sadness, it was your soul rejecting a false life. Your anxiety wasn't weakness, it was your inner compass trying to break you out of spiritual cages. Your numbness wasn't failure, it was the body's final scream for you to start living from the inside out. Every emotion you feel, no matter how dark, is a messenger. And the dark chosen ones are the only ones powerful enough to receive those messages fully. That's why the world fears us, not because we are evil, but because we cannot be manipulated. We don't run from discomfort, we metabolize it. We don't suppress rage, we refine it into boundaries, into truth, into clarity. We don't deny grief, we let it carve out space for something eternal to enter. And the moment you stop being afraid of your own pain, the game changes. You stop asking for permission. You stop explaining your sensitivity. You stop trying to fit in. And you start remembering who you really are, a mirror the darkness cannot hide from. But there's one more thing most people don't realize. The deeper your pain, the stronger your light. And that is not a metaphor, it's physics. Shadow only exists where there is light. You can only feel pain that deep because your soul is that expansive. And the moment you own that contrast, when you say, yes, I hurt this much, and yes, I shine this much, you become untouchable. The dark stops being something outside of you. It becomes something you command. So here's the real question. Are you willing to stop running from your pain long enough to finally learn from it? Can you sit with it not as a victim, but as an alchemist? Because once you do, you'll realize something wild. Your rare ability isn't just sensitivity or intuition. It's transformation itself. Your power can't be taught, it has to be remembered in silence. There's a moment every dark chosen one reaches when all the books, all the voices, even all the spiritual teachings begin to feel silent. And not because they're wrong, but because they've served their purpose. You've consumed the knowledge. You've done the rituals. You've studied the shadows. And now something strange happens. The outer world goes quiet. Not physically, but energetically. No answer feels complete. No voice outside yourself feels louder than the silence inside you. That's not confusion. That's the call to remember. This is the stage where most people give up or regress. They panic in the silence. They try to make noise again, consume more content, chase more gurus, collect more techniques. But for us, the ones truly born to walk the edge between light and dark, silence is the true doorway. Because your rarest ability isn't found in words, it's found in stillness. Why? Because power isn't learned, it's recalled. And the only way to recall something buried in your soul is to listen. Have you ever just stopped, no music, no scrolling, no distractions, and felt something ancient move inside you? A whisper that didn't sound like language, but felt like truth. That was it. That was the voice before voices, the frequency before conditioning. And if you trust it, if you dare to sit with it long enough, you will remember things no one ever taught you. That's not magic. That's your original memory returning. You see, dark chosen ones carry a lineage that predates any scripture. We are not students of knowledge, we are echoes of remembrance. That's why we're so drawn to solitude, why crowds feel draining, why noise feels fake. Because at a deep level, we know the answers have always been inside, but we've been trained to look outward. Every system wants you looking away from yourself. Every distraction is designed to prevent one thing: you sitting still long enough to unlock your own code. You were encoded before you were born, and that rare ability you don't yet know you have. It's not something you need to gain. It's something you need to remember. Like a sword buried under decades of earth, your gifts are not gone, they're just waiting to be unearthed. And silence is the shovel. When you enter the silence, strange things begin to happen. You start having thoughts that don't feel like yours, but they're wiser than anything you've heard. You feel energy moving without you trying. You start to see patterns in people's words, truths behind their smiles, lies behind their kindness. This is not paranoia. This is Claire knowing, one of the rarest psychic abilities that many chosen ones never understand they have. But it only activates when your ego isn't busy trying to control the narrative. It happens when your heart becomes the leader, when your body becomes the antenna, when you finally surrender the idea that your mind has to understand everything and you let your soul reveal everything instead. There is a moment when remembering replaces learning. And in that moment you realize you were never meant to follow the path. You were meant to carve it. Do you know why the most powerful spiritual people rarely speak too much about their gifts? Because the more you remember, the less you need to explain. The deeper your power, the more sacred your silence becomes. The world we live in glorifies visibility, but your power grows in invisibility. While others perform, you prepare. While others compete, you calibrate. And when it's time, you emerge not with noise, but with undeniable presence. So let me ask you now, can you be brave enough to do what few dare? Can you sit in the silence and let the darkness reintroduce you to yourself? Because in that stillness, you'll remember your real power was never a trick, never a shortcut, never a show. It was your capacity to become the void, and from that void, manifest what no one else could see. You don't need to force anything anymore, because the rare ability you've been searching for, it's already alive within you. It's the way your soul refuses to die. It's the way your mind senses storms before they arrive. It's the way your body knows who's lying even before words are spoken. It's the way you love like a god but rage like a wildfire. It's the way you keep rising when others stay fallen. It's the way you see through illusions and still choose love. That's not weakness. That's your unseen gift. And now, it's time to remember it fully. The world won't know what hit it, but you will, because deep down you always did.